Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm TRACY CRAM PERKINS and our show today is Dementia Home Care. I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio. I am a 4-time dementia caregiving survivor and the author of Dementia Home Care, How to Prepare Before, During and After, which is now available in audio. Joining me today is Dan Goerkke, a dementia caregiver, telepathic communicator, and Alzheimer's advocate. He is the author of Unforgettable, Unbelievable, A Journey of Telepathy and Compassion in Alzheimer's Care. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Tracy. It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you.
I am so happy that you are here today. For everyone in the audience, one of my readers introduced me to Dan, and I'm just very excited that you're here. And for the audience who don't know you, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my journey began in 2012 when my wife, Denise, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when she was just 56. I was working full-time, so I took on that role as caregiver for her. While still working full-time. And that journey led us down a lot of different paths, a lot of different stories, funny, mostly funny, some sad, as you know. And yet I just always viewed it as my mission to be the best caregiver I could for her. And so some other background information, I've been in real estate prior to this journey. For many years, love the outdoors and nature, avid hiker, adventure hiker, so to speak, as well. And just have been out here with a mission lately to spread the word about Alzheimer's. I do quite a bit of volunteer work with the Alzheimer's Association here in the States, and just feel it is important to let people know what Alzheimer's really is, that someone as young as 56 or even younger can get the disease, and what it means to be a caregiver and to advocate for caregivers and to encourage them to get help when and where they can.
Well, okay, so how did your journey begin and what did you start noticing?
Yeah, it was, so Denise was in sales. And she drove around Atlanta, that's where I'm based. And she would start calling me and saying, I know what road I'm on, but I don't know where I'm going. Or sometimes it would be just the opposite. I know where I'm going, but I'm not sure what road I'm on right now. And at first I thought, well, okay, let me just get up maps and figure out where she needs to go, give her directions. And get her there. And I didn't think anything of it. It's like she's stressed, she's busy, not sleeping well, and I'll just get her there. Except that this happened over and over again with more frequency. And finally, I just said, you know what, we need to get into the doctor because something is wrong. And we went to her primary care. The downside was that he latched on to the fact that she said, I'm not sleeping well. And he associated that with not having, enough rest and being fully cognitive when she was awake. And so he immediately sent us to a sleep specialist, neurologist. And unfortunately, it's, I tell people this, it was a year and a half going down that path that led us to absolutely nothing other than more heartache. And it was a year and a half that we lost of good time. Finally, someone in our family said, it looks like this is beyond sleep, a sleep issue. Why don't you go to a neurologist that specializes in memory issues? We did immediately. And I swear, Tracy, within 10 minutes of being with him, he gave me that look as if, there's something bigger here. And he referred us down to Emory University, which is a phenomenal program here in Atlanta. Went in, and again, it took a while just because of the battery of tests that you have to go through. But the clincher was the spinal tap, lumbar puncture, technically, that they did that came back with a positive for Alzheimer's. And again, that was when she was just 56. And, that started our journey.
So I have a probing question here. When you first heard that news, you as the spouse, I know as the person that's receiving it, their mind goes blank and they can't hear anymore. Did you have that moment where you just couldn't hear anymore for a little bit and then you came to, or how did that go?
Yeah, I tell people I had to pick my jaw up off the floor. And what was so interesting is when we were with the neurologist prior to all the testing, he's going through his checklist, and he gets this puzzled look on his face. And I said, what's up? What are you thinking? He goes, well, I could do this test, the lumbar puncture. And I said, well, what does it do? It says, well, he said, it will tell us whether she has Alzheimer's or not. And I said back to him, I said, well, let's do it because we can rule it out then. Because I thought there's no way at 56 she had Alzheimer's, right? So going through the test results 6 months later, I see the same expression on his face. He's scrolling through the results. He's talking to us. And all of a sudden he goes, his eyes light up. And he turned to me and he said, she has Alzheimer's. And again, my jaw dropped and I just couldn't believe it. And he said, if you want, the neurologist that did the test is next door and you can talk to him. And I thought, yeah, I probably should check the box. But he said 99.8% chance that she's got it. And we were leaving his office. I still remember this to this day. I'm still in shock. Whereas Denise, with her, A personality, she opens the door to his office. Across the hallway, there's this rack of literature and workshops and support groups. She starts grabbing all the flyers she can because she's going to tackle this disease. And that's how she subsequently approached the disease. She wasn't going to let it defeat her. And she was just going to continue. She said to me, I'm going to continue living my life as if I don't have this.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So that first of all, that had to just be gut wrenching. Having sat with other family members and having that experience, I can relate to what you're going through, but not with a spouse. I mean,
Yeah.
having it be the love of your life and having this message, did it kind of reassure you that she did the take charge thing and went to learn everything she could about it?
Yeah, there were a couple of reassurances. One, and this may sound a little strange, yet when we got the diagnosis, there was part of that message that was a relief because it explained everything that was going on. It all of a sudden, all the forgetfulness, the getting lost, all of a sudden made complete sense. Now I understood, yeah, we can deal with this now. We're out of that world of unknownness, right? And it was a relief to see her not give up on this, to say, I'm going to pick myself up and I'm just going to keep going. I still want to do this. I want to do that. And we went through a whole litany of with things that she wanted to do and didn't want to do. And that was tough, but it was a relief as well.
So, okay, what were some of the struggles then that you ended up facing taking care of Denise?
Yeah. The negative, so to speak, of her personality type was that the go-getter, the charge forward, was that she was going to keep doing that, which meant she was going to keep driving. Scary thought there, right? And that was the biggest concern. It was that she was a big projects person. Okay, she couldn't work. She had to quit work, obviously, and so she was around home, and she would take on projects, and I would come home and find these projects started, but because of the disease, she couldn't process things and keep going on projects like sewing projects and some other art projects that she'd started. And so the house was just an utter mess when I got home from work. And so for a while, I cleaned it up after each project. But that lasted like 2 or 3 months because I realized I'm just wasting my time. And so I let the house go. It was a mess. And so that was part of it, part of the challenge there. But the driving, I think, was the biggest challenge, and my concern about that and her safety and the safety of the people around her was one of the biggest challenges and scary parts of being a caregiver. It was extremely stressful, as I mentioned, because I was still working, and so I felt comfortable for a while leaving her at home because she was still pretty high functional. But yet it got to the point where eventually I didn't feel comfortable. She was forgetting a lot of different things and how to do things. So I had family members come in initially, and then ultimately hired a professional caregiver, companion caregiver for her, who stayed with her while I went to work.
Okay, that has another question for me. So you are currently working at this point, and how were you staying in contact with her? You were checking in? Was she checking in with you? Was there what was the communication like?
Well, she still knew how to use a cell phone. So
Uh-oh.
I would get calls a lot at work, right? And usually asking the same thing over and over again. A lot of times, as you know, they attach themselves to the loved ones so much. So she was always asking, when are you coming home? When are you coming home? Over and over again. But I was able to check in, and if fortunately, our son and daughter-in-law lived 2 miles away. So if something was a concern to me, I could call either one of them up, and they could go over and check on her, and so that was a relief. And then I even tried one time. I'm still laughing at this. She said, "I want to go to work with you," and I'm like, "Well, okay, I kind of get that. She wants to be close." And I thought, well, as long as she can kind of sit in one corner of my office and do some activity, I can still do work. Well, no, that was an utter failure because the same questions kept coming up over and over again of, hey, when are we going home? When can we go to the grocery store? And, I'm in the middle of these business calls, and she's trying to ask me these questions. And I'm like, we are never doing this again. So I abandoned the bring her to work scenario real quickly. And then, like I said, that's when, I had started having the concern that she would leave a burner on, so to speak, or, something else while she was trying to make food or something like that. So it was time, probably about a year and a half, 2 years after the diagnosis, that I said, I need to have somebody come in and start watching her while I'm not there. So, and that worked out great, actually.
Now I want to ask you about humor. When did you first start employing humor to save your sanity?
You know, pretty much day one. We were always we were cracking each other up throughout our relationship. So that part didn't change, and she was always doing something that was humorous. One of the funniest ones was the walks in the neighborhood, where she just started going up into people's yards and taking flowers out of their flower beds. And she would come home and make flower arrangements that were absolutely beautiful. And the first few times she went in people's yards, I said, "Are you sure you want to do that? Do maybe we should keep walking?" And she would have none of it, just kept doing it. And finally, I gave in. I said, "Here, when we go for our walk, here's a pair of scissors. You might as well do it the right way if you're going to do it." And I still remember also the first time her long time companion care person, Rita, went with her walking in the neighborhood. Denise, she said, Denise just made a beeline. She cut up into this lady's yard and snipped some flowers and brought them back. And Rita called me while they were on the walk. And I said, "Oh yeah, let her do that. No use in fighting her over it. You're just going to get in bigger trouble." So the flower thing was humorous, and I shared all these stories to the family, Facebook posts, because I wanted people to know the reality of Alzheimer's disease, and that humor perpetuated our relationship through the disease and helped get me through it. I've got plenty of stories. I could keep going, but I won't for now. So.
Okay, that leads me to my next question. All right, you were really struggling with care. And when I was listening to your interview on the telepathy tapes, you were talking about toileting and the difficulties you were having with toileting. Can you describe what happened around that for the
Yeah,
audience?
yeah. It was crazy, Tracy. I would have never imagined this scenario in a million years. That because of the disease, right? The Denise's brain, and this happens with most of them, is they have the thought, okay, I need to go to the bathroom. Walk in the bathroom, you need to do your business. Well, because the neurons between the thought and the muscles that you need to do that physical activity were not connecting, she would get in the bathroom and just stand there. And I would eventually have to go in and help her, tell her to do this, do that. And it was taking literally 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes. Tracy, one time I looked at my watch. It was an hour from the time we got into the bathroom to the time we were leaving the bathroom to get her to go to the bathroom. It was amazing. She could not understand the words, just sit down. That just did not register. I might as well have been speaking a foreign language. And I still remember every time coming out of the bathroom with her totally physically and mentally exhausted from that experience. And it was wearing on her because, let's face it, I lost my patience sometimes, raised my voice. And it was just so frustrating for her as well. She was tired. And it was just, again, just an unbelievable situation that I would have never have expected. And that rolled over also into trying to even get her in the car to go to appointments, just to go to the grocery store. She could not, again, her brain could not figure out how to tell her muscles to maneuver, to sit down and move her legs around. And simple, physical movements were just not registering with her. So it was an incredibly frustrating situation.
Okay, I can feel for you on quite a few of those items. I mean, especially, the toileting and getting into the car. But how did you cross over so that you were able to connect with her? Because this is what I find really fascinating.
Yeah, so we're going to go into the telepathy
Yes,
section,
yes, I
right?
would like
Here
to
we
bring that up if
go.
you're okay.
Here we go. Okay. Well, that's one reason I'm here is to talk about the telepathy and let people know that that's available. So one day I had this was probably about 3 years or so after the diagnosis, around 2014, 2015. I had she was with her companion care all day, and I came home from a very frustrating day at work, very stressful day. Got her dinner. We sat and watched TV for a few minutes. Fortunately for me, she liked to go to bed early, around 7:30. And I say fortunate because it gave me a break. And so I put her to bed, went back out, grabbed a glass of wine, watched a little TV. I probably got another glass of wine. But anyway, and just kind of tried to calm down, and finally went to bed. Okay. And looked at her, and she is fast asleep. Again, thankfully, she slept through the night. She slept somewhere between 10 and 12 hours a night, which was great. So she's fast asleep, and I'm sitting there or laying there next to her, and had the thought, let me back up a little bit, because at this time she had the disease had caused her to lose her ability to speak. Occasionally she gets some words out, occasionally a phrase, but her speech had gone downhill dramatically, and she just could not barely communicate to me. So I had, laying there next to her, I had the thought in my mind, Denise, this would be so much easier if you could just talk to me. In my mind, Tracy, I heard Denise. I heard her voice, the inflection of her voice say to me in my mind, well, talk to me. And I'm like, okay, here's one of the biggest problems we're having. It's stressful for you and stressful for me, getting you into the toilet. Show me how to do that better. And in my mind's eye, again, she's giving me images of what to do. She's telling me, place your hands on my shoulders, put your hands on my hip, push here, do this, do that. And at the end of that explanation by her, right, all in my mind's eye, I said, thank you. I looked down. She's fast asleep. I went to sleep. And again, I woke up the next morning, like, who wakes up excited about taking their wife to the toilet, right? I am. I'm so excited. So I get her up. We go in. I'm doing exactly what she had showed me and told me to do telepathically. And we were in and out in 5 minutes. I remember getting her on the commode and going, yes. And she's looking at me and going, get out of here, take your idiotic celebration somewhere else. Let me go to the bathroom. And it was literally 5 minutes, and I'm so excited. And it was a relief for her too, obviously, to not have me fussing and fighting with her to get on the toilet. So that next night I said, okay, Denise, and I heard her again. She said, okay, I'm here. In my mind's eye, I said, that worked great. Thank you again. Let's work on the car. How do I get you in the car easier? And again, same thing, showed me images, told me words, told me things to say to her physical self that would help her understand what to do. Same scenario. The next day we were going and getting in a car for an appointment, did the same thing. And this time I had a little more tact. I closed the door, and I'm running around behind the back of the car, yelling and screaming, celebrating like an idiot. And that began my journey with her, communicating telepathically. And it made the journey is difficult. There's no question about it. The telepathic communication that I started having with her and continued to have with her made the journey a little less difficult, and made it easier. Let's face it, made it easier. Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Is like, what level? I mean, did you literally feel a weight come off of your shoulders when that happened? I mean, what was? I just can't imagine having that connection, because I know it was so hard having the silence between me and my family members, that and not being able to break through that. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, yeah. It was two things. One, it was a relief, to know that I had this gift. And I hesitate. I don't like to use the word gift. Maybe we get into it later, maybe not. But I believe it's an ability we all have. So it's not a gift, so to speak. But yet I tapped into this ability, and I was so relieved to have that as a caregiving tool in my tool belt. As you know, caregivers have many tools. This was a huge bonus that I had. So it was a relief to have that tool, because it made my job easier and it made her more relaxed. I could see her soften, so to speak. She wasn't as stressed and strained after I started communicating telepathically, because I used it almost every day. I asked her telepathically, what do you want to eat? Is there something I'm missing in your diet that you might like? And where do where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Those kind of questions. And it was just, gosh, just such a relief, Tracy. I don't know how else to describe it. How it was so beneficial to both of us.
So Dan, let me clarify something. You were first doing this in your sleep, and now you're able to do it while you're awake. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
That
when the very first time I did it, I was awake. Yes,
Oh,
it
you
was,
were awake.
it
Okay,
was
okay,
before I fell asleep,
okay,
and so I always do it when I'm awake. Yes,
okay. But now you're doing it while she's awake also, is what you're saying.
yes,
Okay,
absolutely,
okay, okay.
absolutely. Yep.
Wow. And now you teach other people how to do this, is that correct?
Exactly. Yes, I found that several things started happening. Is one, which was beautiful, was my dad, who had passed away, uh, 30 years prior to when I'm communicating telepathic with Denise. He started coming in, so I started talking, communicating with him. I had to put Denise in a memory care facility. And I started communicating with people there, and helping the memory care director. She was great. She was very open to this telepathic communication. And I was helping her with situations she was having with others. And so it started just expanding to other people. And I said, you know what? Gosh, there are other people out there that would benefit from this. So I right now I do readings, so to speak. You can contact me, and we'll set up a time. And if you want me to connect to your loved one who has gone silent, so that you can get answers, you can get better tips on what they want, I do that as well. And then I teach people. People are so interested in, gosh, I think I communicate with my mom or dad. I get some messages from time to time. How do I do this better? And I have a 6-week program where we meet once a week via Zoom, and I help you get to the next level, so to speak, through that course.
Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, this makes me ask another question here that I hadn't even planned on. Um, with all of this happening, when Denise died, did this shorten your grieving process because you didn't lose your connection with her? Is that
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's a beautiful question, beautiful statement, and that is exactly what happened. First of all, here's the, and I still haven't come up with a real good word yet. So I'm going to call it what it is. A benefit of Alzheimer's that you can take advantage of as a caregiver is that, I knew from the moment of that diagnosis what the outcome. I call it the inevitable outcome of Alzheimer's is she's going to pass away. So I took it upon myself to do a little bit of grieving every day, so that when she did pass away, there was not this overwhelming sense of grief. It was more relief for her that she got out of this horrible condition. And then, as you mentioned, my grief was substantially shortened because I knew before she passed away that when she passed away, I could still communicate with her and talk to her, and that communication still goes on to today. But the grieving was so much shorter, and I look upon this journey as it refocused my mission in life, so to speak. And I want to use this ability to help others. And I'm so immersed now in this world of Alzheimer's. I real estate, I can't even spell the words right now. I don't even know. I am so immersed in the world of Alzheimer's, helping caregivers, helping kids understand their parents, helping others get to the point where they can do the telepathic communication themselves. So yes, and it absolutely helps shorten the grieving period.
All right, now I'm going to go back to something I forgot to ask you earlier. Before you started communicating with her, did you join a support group?
Oh, 100% yes.
Okay.
I laugh. I tell people I was a support group junkie. I was probably at one point going to 3 or 4 of them at a time. I just loved support groups, and I would encourage any caregiver who's listening, anyone out there who's a caregiver, join a support group. And even, I mean, there are virtual support groups. There's a list. Go to the Alzheimer's Association webpage. You can find a list of support groups in your area. And the support groups did several things. One, it made me recognize that I'm not out here alone. I am not the only one doing this journey. I'm not the only one having this issue with toileting, believe it or not. There were others in my group that had the same thing. And there was a sense too, when you listen to everyone else's situation, it gave you a little feeling of, well, maybe I'm not so bad off. Joe across the way there, he's got a really bad situation. And he could be saying the same thing about my situation. And so it gave you this sense of community, that there are other people out there. And during the support group talks, we would exchange information. A question came up, hey, have you guys ever heard of this medication? And some of the people would say, yes, I used it in this dosage. And so we would talk medicine. We wouldn't prescribe it, obviously, but we talk about our experiences with medicines, prescriptions. I learned how to get Denise through TSA security at the airport through a support group, the proper way to get her through. I had not been doing it correctly, and it was a mess, right? So, and honestly, what's so great to this day, even though all our spouses have passed away, there are still 6 of our original support group members of about 10 that we still get together once a month and have dinner. And it's just a beautiful exchange now. We talk a little bit about Alzheimer's, but it's just been so nice to getting to know these people. And we talk about vacations and different things like that, and kids and grandkids. And so, yes, I encourage everyone to join a support group, however you can do it.
Okay, that is so beautiful, especially the part that you are still connected with your support group. I think people don't give themselves permission to understand that that could be a possibility because of the amount of grieving you are doing, even whether you recognize it or not. I would love to circle back to what you said about the TSA. What is the way to get your family member through TSA properly?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll go through the improper way first, because
Okay.
it was I was going through the scanners first, and inevitably I would get on the other side, turn around, and say, Denise, come on, follow me. And many times she'd lock up, right? Just stop, frozen. And fortunately, people were kind. They said, they'd lead her up into the scanner and have her go through. And finally, so, we were talking in a support group, and someone said, "Yeah, I learned how to get her through TSA, my spouse through TSA security." And that, how do you do that? and they said, you lead her up to the scanner, tell her walk through and wait on the other side. And then I went through, and it, oh my gosh, my blood pressure dropped immensely at TSA security after that. And so they have to go through first, then you go through. That's the secret.
Ah, okay. So did you ever have like a lanyard on her saying hidden cognitive disorder or anything like that on her so that people would know at TSA?
No, what we
Okay.
did is we had a wristband
Okay.
that said that.
Okay.
Now, as you know, whether they wear it or not is a thing. You could put it on them in the morning.
Mhm.
5 minutes later, they're taking it off. But at least we tried, right? We got the wristband.
Wow. So we only have about 4 minutes left. Is
What?
there, I
Oh my
know it's
God.
gone so fast. Is there anything you want to discuss before we sign off?
Yeah, I would say to the caregivers, I harp on this a lot. Is if you're a caregiver, uh, period, but especially if you're a caregiver for someone with dementia, reach out and get help. This disease is like no other. It is so incredibly stressful. This was the most stress and the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life. And done some difficult things in my life. And this was the most difficult. You've got to reach out for help. Get rid of your ego about, oh, I got this. I can do this. This is not like cancer, unfortunately. This is not like heart disease. My parents passed away from those kind of diseases. And I remember 2 days before my mom passed away, I was communicating back and forth with her. I could not do that physically with Denise for 6 or 7 years before she passed away. And the amount of stress that put on our relationship. And yes, the telepathy did help, yet it was still stressful. Folks don't realize, caregivers don't realize how stressful this is, how sad it is to see that person in front of you just literally vanish and go away. It's incredibly stressful. So reach out, get help. There are plenty of resources out there through the Alzheimer's Association, family and friends. If they offer, can I help? Say yes. You'll figure out how they can help, but say yes. Don't be a martyr. This disease will kill the caregiver first. It really will. So reach out, get in a support group, find the help you need. Take breaks. Take breaks from your loved one. You know, you're not giving up on them. You're not giving up on them if you have to put them in memory care. You're not giving up on them if you have to have someone come in and take care of them for an hour while you go to the grocery store. And so I would say to the caregivers, reach out for help. That's my biggest message. And I'm here too. I'll be glad to help through readings or whatever help if you just want to talk.
Okay, so I've just what because of that, what was your most unexpected and cherished feedback from somebody you have helped
Through telepathy.
through telepathy? Yeah.
Wow, that's a great question. I've never thought about that. Wow. Boy, I hope this is not a Stump Dan question. I can't think of anything specific other than it's just a relief. Confirmation sometimes that mom is okay or dad is okay. One I just had, interesting, I'll be quick with it, is uh, there is no language barrier when I do this. I recently did a reading with someone who spoke Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. He did not speak English. He's got Alzheimer's. We were able to communicate back and forth. And the daughter of this woman who asked me to do the reading was blown away. She goes, "How are you guys communicating?" I said, "It's all telepathically. It's not through us." And another beautiful moment was when I did a reading in front of him. When the daughter brought him out in his wheelchair, he looked at me and he had this recognition he knew who I was. He knew that I had been communicating with him telepathically, and that was so heartwarming. So that was a beautiful moment right there. Yeah.
Oh, Dan, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy. And I commend you for all the work you've done with your family in
Oh,
caregiving.
thank you very much. Oh, and we even get to see your website.
Whoa,
Yay.
look at me. Look at that. Back when I had a beard. Oh,
Oh, well, we will be back on November 18th for the next episode of the Dementia Home Care Show. In the meantime, you can go over to our channel on YouTube at USA Global TV and Radio and look for the Dementia Home Care playlist, where you'll find all of our past episodes. Thank you to the wonderful Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck for all of her hard work behind the scenes today. And thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. See you next time, everyone.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TRACYCRAMPERKINS.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In a world quick to judge, one book dares to reveal the hidden cost of silence. Discover Holy but Harmful: The Silent Sin of Judgment, How Hidden Judgments Destroy Relationships and Damage Lives, by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. The Amazon #1 bestseller that's transforming the way we understand ourselves and the way we see others. Pick up the companion workbook to uncover your own hidden judgments and learn how to break free from them. Available now on Amazon and at fine bookstores worldwide.
Every woman carries a story of strength, of purpose, of light. Through her courage, the world is transformed. Through her grace, generations are inspired. This is Iconic Women. Within Every Woman Lives a Goddess, a celebration of brilliance, beauty, and empowerment. Join us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. New York, 4 p.m. London time, only here on USA Global TVR and Radio. Featuring the iconic Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, honoring voices that shine across the world. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, to watch and engage with all our content. World-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.